Alright, it is EX batch day. It is almost the end of October, and what that means on the JP side is another batch of EX units. Last week, of course, getting the Halloween units, the week before that, getting another batch, and now we are treated with the batch of Luartha units. And we're just gonna get right into it, because I have to record a couple of videos today, and just no time. Alright, so Luartha. Before her EX update, she was essentially a glass cannon. You know, she was capable of dealing out damage. She was a multi-hit chainer in the fire element, one of the, I would say, mostly few EX sorry, not EX chainers, but chainers in the fire element. So she was valuable for specific reasons, but she was never very strong. She was very much a lot of the time she got hit by most anything, and she was dead. And it felt like for a long time Luartha has been completely out of the conversation and just waiting for her EX to see whether or not that's going to improve the situation for her. And now, honestly, I can say that it is just more of the same for Luartha. And that might not be a bad thing, but that may not be what some people were waiting to hear. So dexterity, luck, attack, HP, and an HP node is really what we're looking at here in terms of her really big gains in stats from her stat nodes from her EX. Basically puts her in the same direction. Yes, the HP will help her, but damage dealers are better now than when Luartha first came out, and Luartha was pretty brittle back then, so I don't see that changing here. I don't see it changing at all. I think the story is going to be mostly the same going forward with this character, and yeah, let's see if her abilities save her. So next up, we're taking a look at her support skill that's getting upgraded. I like support skills getting upgraded. So this is agility and defense penetration, something that you would basically always run on this character. Well, now the defense penetration goes up from a total of 40 to 60 now, and she gets an accuracy boost of 20. Both of these things are just net positive gains for her. She was a damage dealer before this. She's going to be a much better damage dealer because of this. This is the kind of upgrade that, you know, improves her entire kit by virtue of just more defense penetration, which she wants, but it really isn't adding much to her. Continuing on, much in the same story, in the same vein of the story, we're looking at her quad shot ability. Now this is obviously one of her most valuable and noteworthy abilities, and it basically just gets a damage upgrade. That's it. I'm not even joking, that is it. Going from 121 to 165, obviously in combination with the support skill, this is very powerful, and heck, this is going to work wonders with other fire characters. Fire has been on a major upswing in terms of damage recently, and I think this will help it be even better going forward. But again, it is her damage output and nothing else. And her last ability, a brand new ability, is a 3-use, 2-hit, so a chaining ability as well. 22 AP, which is relatively cheap. But very limited range ability. As you can see, it dispels protect and shell from the target on very specific squares, and the damage is about a 165 modifier with piercing damage. A good ability, because this is something on a attacker that dispels protect and shell, which has been cropping up on various units lately, and it's honestly kind of nice to have something that dispels it. But thinking about this unit, just thinking about this unit basically, she was a glass cannon before this update, and she's a glass cannon after this update. Arguably, I would say that it's more, much more net positive here. And I think this is a character you can only really trust going forward with PvE or manual content more than anything. She really doesn't have much height that she's gained from her in her abilities. Like, this is a 2 height ability. Whoa, big deal. But really on this ability, I think that the thing that hurts the most is the range. It's just such limited window where you can hit the target with this ability. So I think Luartha's EX upgrade is a net positive for her. I think very much, considering the amount of fire units that are, very strong now with Seti and whatnot. She has a very clear reason why you would build her. But if you weren't impressed about this unit beforehand, I don't think that this is going to be like a super, wow, you can stick this unit in any party and just be generally good and amazing and work out really nicely for you. That's not the case here, but she is better at what she was doing, and that deserves praise. So I'm going to say probably a B+, just because, again, I don't think that this character will be too reliable in auto content, but high difficulty content, I think that she has a very good place to get things done in. All right, next up on the list of EX units, and this one, thankfully, is also a very easy one to call. Cadia, a wind elemental, essentially buff her, I guess you'd say. Alright, so what does she get? Well, for stats, magic, HP, agility, actually a fair bit of agility. Looks like 6 by my count, just from her nodes. She has a magic node. If we scroll a little bit up, there it is. What else do we got? Yeah, magic HP, magic HP, magic HP, agility, agility, agility. So very focused on that. But what about her skills? Well, taking a look at her upgrades, first of all, we do get a support upgrade up here. Was before just a increase of spirit by 15. Now it also gives her a dark resistance of 15% and an increase of healing power by 20%. Arguably very valuable for a unit that is doing support kind of things and does have some healing abilities, does have white mage. So yes, that upgrade is good, but a little soft. Dark resistance, okay, 15% doesn't really feel that much. I guess you're really stacking it from equipment here to target a specific group, but I'm not sure if this is quite what you want. Taking a look at her main job, though, does get a couple of one upgrade and a brand new ability, which I consider to be an upgrade. So scrolling down, here is this one. Before it was dispel all debuffs on targets. Now it also increases debuff resistance by 50 for 3 turns. Now, given that debuffs are a prevalent thing in high difficulty content, I can see where Cadia would be useful, and I assume that the selection quest for wind is going to require this. But outside of that, I don't see this ability being really good. Just kill them strategies turns out to be pretty effective most of the time lately, from my experience. And last but not least is her brand new one, and this is a increase earth and dark resistance by 35% for 3 turns for the targets, so wind is even better against earth, and I just don't think that there's much else to say here. Great, I mean, it's a big AoE, it has some range on it, you can buff your units to be strong against specific elements, but very specific place where this is good. So Cadia, I think that most of her upgrade is pretty meh. As a matter of fact, I think it's quite... I would even go so far as to say this one's bad, just because I can see where they want me to use this character, and I don't know what content that really is. So yeah, I think this is a really easy pass. Cadia, I just don't think is worth an EX or your awakening material until it turns out that it is, because there's some content that's just like, hey, dark, it's the wind selection quest. But yeah, moving on, I think that Cadia is just very bad. And last but not least, Raviol, Livialle, as we kind of end up pronouncing her on the JP, or on the global side. Raviol is the JP side. Sorry. Anyway, Earth Elemental Ninja, and one of my more favorite characters. Okay? Kind of just like the color scheme that's going on this character, but design issues aside, why did I EX her? Because she, as you can see, was a character that I basically snap EX'd. Well, taking a look at what she gets for stats, we're looking at Dexterity, Agility, Magic, Initial AP, HP, and an HP node. So a pretty big mix, but a good amount of agility early on, as well as some extra magic to make her stronger. Now, she is a mathematician / black mage, which I think is, I really do like the combination of those kind of jobs. Well, I just like mathematician, period. So what did she get for, if I say one more time? What does she get for skills? Well, her magic increase from Black Mage, which was 30% before, now gets an increased chance to apply poison by 20 for self, and this is the theme. This is the theme. This is all around poison, and really it's going to be up to you whether or not you think that this upgrade is super good or not, because it kind of just completely is reliant on being able to cast poison on the target. So yeah, it was on her 185% Stonga modifier. This ability was still is an AoE. It's still a 185% modifier, but now has a 25% chance to inflict poison for 3 turns to the target. And also, and this is the big one, decrease elemental attack by 40 for targets. This is the interesting one. Now, if a unit is poisoned, you will decrease all types of elemental attack from that unit by 40. This is interesting for a lot of different reasons. One, it's kind of opposite of Oberyn, but it's a strong ability. It was already a pretty good damage dealer, and it's just a main permanent part in her kit. And now it synergizes with this idea of poison, but decreasing all elemental attack by 40. It's a different kind of debuff that's pretty unique. And I think it's even interesting on the idea that, Sakurai is one of the multi-element characters in the game. I wonder if we're going to see a more upswing in multi-elemental characters going into the 2nd anniversary. So yeah, let's put a pin in that for now. All right, and her last and big new ability, as you can see here, increase attack by 30% for 3 turns for targets, increase magic by 30% for 3 turns to targets, and decrease chance of being targeted by 4. Nice ninja skill, TP, so, an AP generator. But interestingly, in the description, it says that this can actually stack twice, which means that you can potentially have multiple turns. So Raviolle's EX is probably the most interesting of the 3, because Luartha is just doing what she's doing. Cadia has found the garbage can and she's staying there for a while. And Ravialle, who already had access to Flare and Dark Magic and Arithmetician abilities, now gets this idea of being able to cause, first of all, be a debuffer in a brand new way that a lot of units can't do, but she also gets this kind of support skill, which I'm intrigued. I'm actually really interested. Now, it does require 2 turns, but since you're getting a decreased chance of being targeted, a decrease in hate, it kind of keeps her protected, especially against auto. So there's more here than I think. Do I think it's necessarily good? Not completely, but for her to get the bonus out of one of her skills, the skill actually does have a chance of causing poison now, and she has an increased chance from her support skill, a support skill that you were probably running anyway. Do I think it's good enough to be run? I don't know. I think that out of all three of them, she probably has the most general application in a limited style battle, and that support is just really good for your other stronger units. I think this unit might actually be good. I'm going to give it a A-B+, just because if the AI is competent enough to be a buffer early on, a 60% buff that also makes her kind of more ninja and stealthy is very thematic and very good, and gives her some new options to generate AP and then go in with flare and everything. It might be just good enough, it might not be, but I'm considering definitely building to 120 for this character, because I think she was pretty useful before, and I think she's even more useful now. Alright, and last thing, special one addition to this video, we are also going to be talking about Malareth, who gets her 3-star this week. So what does she end up getting? Well, Malareth got an identity. That's what Malareth gets. So she gets an accuracy up, as you can see up here. And the big story is over here. She gets missile attack. A missile attack by 15, if I'm adding this up correctly, and I am. So essentially, she is a discount Brachiosaurus. She is Luartha's summon. She is potentially Setia's summon, although Setia works way better with Brachiosaur. If you wanted to run the Setia Luartha combo, you have a second summon now that can be very useful. She has a place now, but it is fire shooting. Malareth is basically typecast at this point, so there you go. Anyway, so taking a look at this entire batch, I think that Luartha is potentially interesting for some people, but will be, if she didn't impress you before, I don't know if she's necessarily going to impress you too much now, and I think mostly PvE. Cadia, I think, is just whatever. Probably the devs have it for some piece of content in the future to do with selection quests, and that's essentially it. And talking just for a second about Livialle, the most interesting of them, but it feels still very dependent on her poison to get the more damage aspect out, but the buffs are very useful. And Malareth, she gets her groove back, I guess. Anyway, so that's all for this series of upgrades. Next video we'll be talking about this update in general and the very near future of Wotv. Anyway, thanks, see you next time.